I pull my 1996 Toyota Camry into the crowded parking lot, staring in amazement at the massive sign advertising huge discounts. The slogan written across the top says, "We're the best, we sell for less." I've heard about this place and seen commercials, but until a coworker of mine recently purchased a car from here, I thought it was too good to be true. I just found out today that my motor is going bad. The mechanic I just picked it up from told me I only have days before it conks out on me. As I park, I think how the rain-lashed car lot looks and feels more like a cemetery today. As soon as I exit my vehicle, a split second later, a car salesman is already standing at my side, smiling and bobbing his head around, checking out my piece of crap. I smile back as I look him up and down. He's your typical everyday salesman. Sharp suit, hair slicked back, twinkling eyes with dollar signs in them, and a set of gleaming pearly whites. But that's just what I can see on the outside. I know that all he truly cares about is making a sale, and he'll do whatever it takes to get one. "How are you doing today, sir?" he asks in a buttery voice as his smile spreads even wider. "I'm just here to take a look at what you've got." "Oh, I'm sure we can find something you like. Follow me." He guides me inside, tells me to wait right near the door, and then a moment later he returns with 2 umbrellas and hands one of them to me. "By the way, my name's Bob." I shake his hand. "Doug, nice to meet you." We step back outside and I thank him for the umbrella, then open it and follow behind him as he leads me across the lot, asking what type of car I'm interested in. "I don't know, something simple, maybe similar to what I've already got." "How long have you had her?" 19 years, I reply proudly. "That's a long time." I nod my head in agreement. "She still looks pretty good for being so old. How does she run?" "Well, that's why I'm here. She started giving me some trouble lately." "I see. Well, let's head over here. This is our new line of Toyotas. All of them are either 2019 or 2020 editions." I was thinking something a little older. That would be more in my price range." "Oh, it won't hurt to take a look. And don't you worry about the price. We'll work with you on that," he tells me with a wink. Those are the exact words I expected to hear. He shows me a few options and explains the specs on each, then I pick 2 of them out to test drive. As much as I want one of the newer models, I finally just decide on an older Toyota Camry that they have on the lot, which irks the salesman because it isn't even one of the options he showed me. He tries to persuade me on the bright red Toyota Camry TRD, once again showing me the interior, which I can't deny is gorgeous. After repeatedly declining, he tries tempting me one last time. "It can be yours for only $200 a month." I stare at him with a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Although I know I can't afford a payment over $150 a month, I can't get over what a deal it is. $200 payments on a brand new car worth $35 grand is unheard of. So I tell him, if he can actually get the payment down that low, then I'll take it. "I'll figure out another way to make the payments. I'll get a second job if I have to." "If it's something you truly can't live without, sir, then we can make it happen. Just let me talk it over with my supervisor." I smile, thinking to myself, of course I can live without it. I mean, it's just a car. But in the back of my mind, I'm also thinking, now that I've seen it, I really do want it. Usually on a 30-something grand car, the payments would be at least in the 400s. Plus, I know I don't have the best credit. So if he can actually get it down to $200 payments every month, I'm not going to miss out on this opportunity for a measly $50 difference. And that candy apple red paint is just calling my name. I feel like it was made for me. We head back inside, and I anxiously sit in the small waiting area, watching Bob through the glass speaking to his supervisor in another room. Then a woman walking past catches my attention. I assume she's just another salesperson because she's wearing a fancy suit and there's a couple with her that appear to also be buying a car. Once they walk off, I take a look around and see about 10 other salesmen, some sitting behind desks, others speaking with potential buyers, and a few are just standing around looking bored. When I look at them, they just smile and go about their business, but every time I look away in my peripherals, it seems like they all come to a dead stop, their mouths open wide on their lifeless faces. But when that thought crosses my mind and I take a look back at them, everyone is still going about their business as usual. so I just shake it off. After about 15 minutes, Bob returns, that same charming grin plastered across his face. "You've got yourself a deal." Obviously, I think it's some kind of a joke. If it really is somehow true, I guess I'll be paying infinite car payments for years to come. He summons me into the office he just walked out of and introduces me to the man he was talking to, another joker in a suit that looks almost like he could be Bob's twin brother. He tells me to have a seat, then pulls out a bunch of paperwork and slides it across his desk to me. For a moment, I glance at the pen lying on top, then only after the man clears his throat do I pick it up and ask, "So what's the catch?" Bob silently leans up against a file cabinet in the corner and lets his supervisor do all the talking now. "There's no catch. Here at Cut Rate Auto Sales, we'll do whatever it takes to keep our customers happy." "So what happens if I miss a payment?" I only ask them this because I know it's a definite possibility. Bob and the other man look at each other and smile. Then Bob replies, "We have payment plans as well as alternative payment options. So if financing doesn't work out for you, we can always look into one of those." I quickly sign the papers before they have a chance to change their minds, thinking to myself, I can't believe these people are so stupid to be financing brand new cars for this cheap. And I didn't even have to put any money down because they took the trade-in on my car at a way higher price than I would have even thought. I only expected to get a few $100s, but they ended up buying it for $5,000. Once I'm done, I place the pen back down, and when I look up, Bob and his supervisor are now both standing behind the desk, happy as can be. They shake my hand, congratulating me, and then they hand me the keys. I drive out of there overjoyed. The transaction turned out to be so much easier than I expected. Usually when you walk into a car dealership, you end up spending half the day there and either driving away with the car of your dreams but with empty pockets, or drive away in the same car you came there in disappointed, and I was expecting the latter. On my way home, I make a couple of pit stops to show off my new ride. First, I stop at my parents' house, then my girlfriend Kayla's apartment, and last, my best friend Kevin's. "Wow, man, this is really nice," he tells me, admiring the exterior. "Yeah, man, I know. It damn near drives itself." "What do you mean? That sounds like some futuristic stuff." "Yeah, tell me about it. It has automatic lane assist, it can make turns, and when you put it in cruise control, it basically drives by itself. All you have to do is set it to the speed you want it to go, and it even has sensors, so that if another driver slows down in front of you, it'll brake automatically. Or if a driver behind you speeds up and is possibly about to hit you, the car's sensors will pick up on it and speed up a little to avoid a collision. It even parks by itself." Next, I open the passenger side door so that Kevin can take a look at the interior. He climbs inside, but before I can even get the door closed, he starts shifting around in the seat and says, "This doesn't feel right to me." "What do you mean? What's wrong?" I ask, confused. As far as I know, he's never even been inside of a car this nice before, so how would he even know if something was wrong with it? "I don't know, man. I can't explain it. I just got a really bad feeling." Now I know he's just messing around with me. Kevin's a really religious guy. He swears he's a psychic or something. So I brush off his comments and ask if he wants to go for a ride, but he declines. 7 months later, and everything has been going great for me. I'm as happy as can be. I mean, Kayla and I broke up, but since then, I haven't had any trouble getting dates. But then my life takes an unexpected turn when my hours get cut at work and I fall behind on my car payment. I'm only 1 month behind, so I've got to find another job quick so that I'll have enough to pay for 2 months next time. A few weeks later, after putting in a ton of job applications online, I have 3 interviews scheduled for today so that I don't have to take off any other days since I'm already hurting for cash. And my friend Max scheduled his for the same day because his car broke down and will be in the shop for a couple weeks, so he needs me to give him a ride. But that morning, I can barely get out of bed. I'm so tired. I haven't been sleeping well at all lately. I keep having this recurring vision of me dying, and it's got me really freaked out. At first, I thought it was a nightmare, but I'm clearly awake every time it happens. And I've been seeing things, or should I say people. I don't know if they're really there or not, but everywhere I go, I see them. It's like I'm being followed, but I don't know why or by who. And they all look awfully familiar. I know I've seen them somewhere before because I never forget a face, but I just can't remember where I know them from. A moment later, my phone rings, snapping me out of my daze. It's my friend Max, so after talking to him, I force myself to climb out of bed, take a shower, and get dressed. Then I head over to pick him up. He recently got fired from his job, which is why he's joining me in my job search today. We go to 2 of my interviews and 1 of his, then decide to stop to get some lunch. Once we're finished, we head back out to the last couple of interviews. And around 5 p.m., I start driving back toward his place to drop him off. As I'm pulling up to a 4-way intersection, I see a woman standing on the sidewalk at the corner staring at me with a big toothy grin on her face. After realizing she's one of the people I keep seeing, I lean forward to get a better look at her because it's really starting to drive me crazy trying to figure out who these people are. I'm fixated on her for so long, trying to think of where I know her from and why she could possibly be following me, until I wake up in the hospital covered in cuts and scrapes. Luckily, I'm not hurt too bad and get released the same day. But Max isn't so lucky. He has a broken leg and he's bruised up pretty bad. I can't believe that I was so distracted trying to figure out who that woman was that I wasn't even paying attention to where I was going and drove right through the intersection. And what makes me feel even more terrible is that Max can't afford to pay his hospital bill. Obviously, since I'm the one responsible, I offer to pay it, but I can't even afford my car payment right now, so I don't know how I'm going to pay his bill and the deductible to get my car fixed. A week later, I receive a letter in the mail from the dealership that I purchased the car from. Before I even open it, I already know it's probably going to say that they're sending someone to repossess my car. But I reluctantly rip it open and am shocked when I start to read. It says, "Your alternative form of payment has been accepted. Thank you." Then it goes on to say that I overpaid, and attached to the bottom of the letter is a check for $500. I breathe a sigh of relief because that's just enough to cover my deductible so that I can get my car out of the shop once it's fixed. I continue to stare at the paper, not believing what I'm seeing. I'm not sure what alternative form of payment they're referring to, but at this point, I don't even care to dig into it any further. Probably just some mix-up, and I'm not going to be the one to bring it to their attention. A month later, when I pick up my car from the auto body shop, bizarre things start to happen with it. A few days after picking it up, I take a girl I just started dating out to lunch. I drop her off after, and I'm on the way back to my place when the car just suddenly goes speeding through a red light. Of course, the first thing I think to do is slam on the brakes, but when I do, the car just keeps driving at the same exact speed. I ferociously beep the horn, warning everyone to get the hell out of my way. Pedestrians scowl at me as they leap out of my path of destruction. Then the next thing I know, the car just starts to slow down, and then it comes to a complete stop at the next traffic light. I sit there in disbelief because I don't know what just happened. One second, I had absolutely no control of the car, and then the next, I was in full control once again. Maybe I damaged the car more than I thought. Something must be wrong with its computer. Right after that, I head back to the auto body shop, thinking that maybe they forgot to fix something. I explain how it just took off by itself and sped right through a stoplight and then nearly ran over a bunch of people, so there must be something still wrong with it. The manager tells me that they fixed everything they were supposed to, but offer to take another look at it. Once they run a diagnostics check on it, he comes over and tells me that everything looks good. I figure there's no point in arguing with the man. He obviously isn't going to help me, so I leave. I'm so angry I can't even think straight. I head home, but on my way there, I stop at a gas station to pick up a pack of cigarettes first. I haven't smoked in months, but I feel like I may need one tonight. I find a new job and catch back up on my car payments, but then 4 months later, I'm hit with another unexpected expense, just like always in my life. My stepdad suddenly passes away, and I have to help my mom pay for his funeral. I never got along with the guy, but I can't leave my mom hanging. That's when I get a few months behind on my car payments. To try to get my mind off of everything that's been going on lately, I call up my buddy Kevin, who I haven't seen in a while. I drive to his house and pick him up around 9, and then we start driving to another friend's house who's throwing a small get-together tonight. Besides the stress relief, I can always use some free beer. As we drive up the windy back roads leading to my boy's house who lives up in the woods, Kevin tells me what he's been up to lately. And I'm a little jealous because things seem to be going so well for him. Then I explain to him how I've gotten behind on my car payments. If you need to borrow some money, man, just let me know. Thanks, I really appreciate it. But honestly, I'm trying to get rid of this thing. Maybe sell it or something. Why? You love this car. Yeah, I used to, until it started doing things by itself. What do you mean? I thought that was the whole reason you wanted it. No, you don't understand. Remember when I first got it and you told me you had a feeling that something was wrong with it? Well, I think you were right. Right at that moment, all of the lights on the car cut off, and all I can see is the pitch blackness, before they suddenly turn back on and I see a man standing in the middle of the road, which causes me to swerve. The second my car hits the tree, I assume I'm dead. I keep going in and out of consciousness. Every time I'm awake, I see a group of about 10 people staring at me with a creepy twinkle in their eyes. 2 of them have lips that are contorted into an awkward, toothy grin. The rest's mouths are wide open on their lifeless faces like some kind of puppets. An uneasy feeling starts to come over me, and I get a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach when I finally realize where I know them from. The 2 that are smiling I recognize in particular as the car salesman that I dealt with when I bought this car. The rest are the other salespersons that were there that day. I taste the coppery blood pooling in my mouth, grazing my teeth and soaking my tongue. My body is aching. As I take a deep breath, my lungs feel like they're about to cave in on themselves. I see black spots, and then a buzzing noise fills my ears. The next thing I know, I'm waking up in the hospital in an excruciating amount of pain. My friend Dante is sitting at my bedside, and he informs me of the car accident I was in, which I vaguely remember. He reminds me that Kevin was with me, and then tells me that he didn't make it. My heart sinks after hearing the news. The people! There was a group of them standing in the road. They made me crash. They're the ones causing all of this. What are you talking about? I didn't see any people there. I gaze at him with a look of confusion. I saw exactly what happened. I was driving right behind you. You probably didn't notice my car because it was so dark out. But there was a group of deer on the side of the road, and one of them jumped out in front of you, so you swerved to avoid it. Just then, my mom walks in. Oh, honey, you're awake. I'm going to get some coffee, Dante says before stepping out. My mom walks over to my bed and hands me a pile of mail that she picked up from my place. I look through it and stop when I come across a letter from the car dealership. I rip it open, already knowing that I'm months behind on my car payment, so it can't say anything good. I read through it, and once I'm finished, I lie down on the bed and just sit there in utter shock and disbelief. It says the exact same thing that the letter I received from them after my first accident said. Your alternate form of payment has been accepted. Thank you, and here's your reimbursement for overpayment. Then, attached to the bottom is a check, this time for $5,000. But what really has me thrown for a loop is the fact that the letter is dated the day of my accident. I don't understand how the letter got here so fast. It's only a day later. Then suddenly it hits me and I climb out of bed, grab my clothes and head to the bathroom to change. My mother argues, saying that I should stay for a few more days until the doctor says I'm okay to leave, but I check myself out anyway. I hail a cab and give them the address to the car dealership. I finally realized what all of this means. Why I got a letter after Max was hurt in the first accident, and now after Kevin died in the second. That's what they must have meant by alternate payment. The cab driver pulls up at the address I've given him, then turns to look at me. Is this some kind of a joke? I get out and he asks, so this is the place you wanted me to take you? Hold on, I answer as I look around confused. A tear falls from my eye and I collapse to my knees. The car dealership is gone. And after everything that's happened to me, I don't know if it was ever really here in the first place. Maybe I just imagined it. Because there's not even a building here, and the parking lot the car dealership once sat upon is now only a patch of dead grass. I quickly hop back into the cab and tell him to take me home. Then I wreck my whole house, trying to locate the contract, and when I finally find it, I sit down and read through it thoroughly, page by page, until I come across in the fine print that the alternative payments are something called blood payments. It doesn't really divulge any more details into what that actually means, so I continue reading, and at the end of the contract see that it says, "This contract cannot be broken until the full amount of the debt is paid. And if you try to not fulfill the contract or sell the car, that will result in a penalty payment of your life and a loved one as well." Immediately, I think about my mom. I was so focused on the cheap payments that I didn't even look through the contract to see how many months I would have to pay on it, assuming that the usual longest contract, at least that I've heard of, is 7 years. But now, seeing in my contract that for only $200 payments a month to pay off a $30,000 car, it will take me 13 years. Fear washes over me as I think, I've only had the car for about 2 years now, which means I still have 11 more years to go. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.